What happens for you when you dance?
It feels glorious. There's a letting go, there's a spirit of partnership that you get in salsa because it's a real team effort. I used to play the piano a lot when I was little. Part of that is the same feeling, being liberated within music, but when you're with a partner doing it together, you're sharing that experience, and that I think really enhances it for me. Sometimes it can be just a real mind-blowing experience, and at other times it's just having a bit of fun out on the dance floor and playing with each other, and often being a little bit kind of flirty or playful, or sometimes being serious and intense about it as well, and that's nice too.
In the modern day life, there are very few emotional, spiritual outlets. There has been a more or less decline of the church. Unless someone is involved in an artistic field themselves, they don't necessarily have an artistic outlet. And then that can mean that there are very few opportunities to express deeper emotions, or the life can be lived very much from the structured, logical side. With tango, there is this unique opportunity to be part of a community where emotion is actually the fabric of your being, because the music is so emotional and so intense that you're not crazy if you feel the emotion. In fact, it's normal. So it gives a great outlet for people to be able to express themselves in a safe, nurturing environment. And I think that really helps to liberate the person.
I love dancing. I was a complete wallflower as a child because I was embarrassed. I didn't know what to do. The music didn't move me like regular music didn't do it for me. And then I discovered salsa music and just couldn't stop just moving. The beat just did something to me. And going to a salsa class, then I realised that there was a way I could see that, yes, I was doing something. I'm not making a fool of myself. There's a bit of structure here. And over the years then I've been able to let go of that structure as well and enjoy dancing for its own sake. But I was never uninhibited enough, like people, for example, from the funky genre who can just get out there and do their thing. And salsa is more for people who want just a little bit more structure to help them enjoy the music. And that's what worked for me.
I think the reason I dance is because it makes me feel connected to my body. And that connection in my body then calms my mind, actually, and makes me feel something, I suppose, for want of a better word, a spirituality that I feel we can get very disconnected from. And the natural rhythms of our body are evoked when we dance. So it does actually make you happy. But sometimes I get up and I can't dance. So I'm not always able to dance. It's quite a strange thing, and I think it's sometimes you're more connected with your body than others. And if I haven't danced for a while, I feel like I get very lethargic and heavy, and not depressed, but down in myself, And then when you dance and you make that effort, you just feel so much more open. You feel like you're set up for the day. You just feel much happier. So I really do feel that dancing does release endorphins and the natural highs of the body and make the blood flow. And dance excites me. I think it always has excited me. I mean, you look at dance, you start, like when I'm watching dance, I move, and it doesn't matter what dance I'm watching, and I've really tried to learn not to dislike any dance. Is that all dance in some way is related, where we're all moving from our center, or we're moving. That's why I love watching people who are dancing socially.
Can you tell us about the social aspect of tango, and why would people choose to go to a social tango rather than, say, go to a club?
Well, from the very early origins of tango, there has been the notion of the tango club or the milonga. And that gathers an entire community. In Buenos Aires today, you go to the milonga and there are the venerated older members of the community, or the maestros of tango, who are dancing there. And you also have the young children who are dancing at maybe 7 or 8 years of age. So it's really a whole tango family. And in Ireland, not so many children, although we do have a couple as students who come with their parents. But mostly it's, a whole scope of ages from maybe 16, 17, all the way up to late 70s and even early 80s. And it, I think, really connects people of very different age groups, different social groups, different nationalities, because tango is very international all over the world. But even in Dublin, it's a very international community. And it's a great way for people to get to know each other.
Hilary, you have been doing salsa for quite a number of years.
I have, yes. I started dancing salsa as a student at university. I went to a salsa class organised by the Latin American Society. 3 years later then I came to Ireland and wanted to carry on dancing here, but there weren't really any classes going on. So I decided to set up my own so that I could train up a load of men to dance with, so to get a good salsa scene going just for myself. And that was 12 years ago now.
So you have a team of teachers working with you?
That's right, yes. I've got about 25 teachers on my books. I think everybody except one has an ordinary day job, but they teach salsa classes in the evenings. It could be in VEC colleges or community halls or in some of the bigger venues that I have in the city centre. The Garda Club is the big one that I have every Thursday night. That one's been going since 2003. We have huge numbers of students coming through. They're attracted by the fact that there's the Salsa Club directly afterwards, where we have dancing from 9:30 till 12:30. And that attracts in beginners, improvers, intermediates, advanced and the pros. Everybody comes in together, so there's a great spirit of coming together. When in your regular community salsa class, you maybe just get beginners together and then they go home at the end of the evening, whereas in the salsa clubs that's really where you get the sense of a community of salsa lovers, and you get to meet people from all over. And in the end that's what really helps people stick with salsa for years and years at a time.
So what would be the ratio of male versus female?
It really depends. It goes through phases. In one class at the moment we have more men than women, but that's a little unusual. On its worst days we can get 2-1, more women than men. I'd say on average it comes out to more or less even. That's in Dublin city centre. Once you move to the suburbs it becomes almost wholly women.
There's different type of salsa.
There are various, I think there are 5 main types throughout the world, but in Ireland there are really 2 main types that we do here. There's LA style, which is the kind that I do. That's the most popular in the UK, and hence the reason I'm promoting it here. It's popular in the congresses around Europe. And then there's also Cuban style, which is what I would have been teaching maybe 10 years ago. The trend seems to be moving more towards LA style these days. My typical student would be, say, 30 years old, probably single.
Looking for a date?
Yeah, it's a great way to meet people. I mean, saying looking for a date is maybe putting it a bit too brashly, but there are so many other single people there of the same age range, and it tends also to cater for the slightly more well-heeled crowd. You'd normally get professionals, typically. That it acts as a great kind of dating service as well. Within the classes we rotate partners all the time, rather than ballroom dance, I believe, where you really go with one partner and stay with them, and that means that you get a chance to meet, say, 50 people in 1 hour just dancing with everybody. If you get a good vibe from them, you go and ask them to dance later on in the salsa clubs, and so you can strike up a friendship or more that way. But it doesn't come across as feeling like a meat market at all, because the majority of people there are just going there just happy to dance and keeping an eye open at the same time in case they meet someone special. But as you start to progress, and when you go to the salsa clubs, then you might be dancing for 6 hours at a time, and it's high energy dancing as well if you want to make it so. So yeah, there's salsa for weight loss, salsa for just getting up and off the sofa for once in a week, but it's enormously good for promoting people's self-esteem. I was the same when I first went to a salsa class. I felt a little bit awkward and clumsy in my body, a bit embarrassed about holding hands with these strangers that you're asked to do in your very first class. But after a few weeks, I started feeling more comfortable. I started feeling like I could get out there and enjoy the music publicly without feeling embarrassed. Then as the years progress, I can do all kinds of body rolls and shimmies, and I don't just feel okay in my body, but I feel great in it. And you see that happening to people. You see that process from, say, the first month when people come to 6 months later. They might start off being really shy in the class and very unsure of themselves, and within 6 months then, in the life and soul of the party, they have banter with the teacher in front of 50 other students, and it's a real joy to see that.
You are here to introduce a listener to a very fascinating development in your work.
Myself and some friends of mine who like singing together, we got together and formed the Natural Mystic Orchestra. We sing kirtan with people in public settings. It's more like a sort of a live gig where all the people attending are also singing. So the basic focus of it is it's a type of devotional yoga, bhakti yoga. Some of the songs, they're all sing-along type songs, and we distribute the words for the songs. And then quite a lot of them, which is a more traditional style, are a call and response style, where I'll be singing the first line and then that's repeated back, and then the next line and it's repeated back. So it's a really easy way to get singing. You don't even have to know the songs. You just listen to what's happening and just join in.
And what's the effect for the participants?
Well, it's really singing from the heart. It really opens up your energy a lot and brings a lot of joy into your life. You're just expressing whatever's arising through your voice at that moment. So it's very energising, and it creates a lot of sort of group cohesion as well. Just as we all sing together, everybody starts to open up more and more as the evening goes on, and it becomes basically, more and more joyful. I get some really nice positive feedback comments from people on it. The group energy is a big part of it, because together, I mean, every time we'd sing, there's different people there, and so the quality of every evening is different. So you never really quite know what's going to happen, and the songs are they have a structure, but they're very improvised as well. So what we frequently do is start them off, and then once people are familiar with them, the sort of structure starts to loosen a bit. People start to harmonise in whatever way they want to. And many of the songs have got many different parts to them. There's one of them we do, actually it's Gana Shisharanam, it's got 6 different parts. Mm-hmm. And as people get familiar with it, it all starts to kind of melt down into just sing whatever part you feel like at any time, and they're all in harmony. It's very, it's lovely. It's a lovely energy. You get the benefits of healing and connection with others, clearing things, letting go. And sometimes it's emotional as well, because as things are let go, you can feel quite teary. I know when I was learning a lot of the songs, I was learning them for quite a few months, listening to them in my car, singing them and so on. I moved through quite a lot of stuff. Some of them I'd be, for days as I was learning it, I'd be crying as I was learning it. I couldn't even say exactly what it was being released, but the energy that brought me just to learn them was amazing. It's a really, really positive energy.
Would you say that would be a way of people to create a sort of community? That's
what's happening with it, actually, as we've seen sort of bigger and bigger groups of people coming along. The last group we sang with, there was 40 people there, and we started in November with 15 people or so. And now what we're finding as well is people who've attended this, who, sometimes people are visiting Dublin and they get invited along through friends or whatever, and they're starting to invite us to come to where they live. So we've been invited to different communities in Waterford, in Belfast, Dundalk, possibility in Galway as well. So there's an expansion of the whole singing thing. So what would be your conclusion about what the curtain singing, and especially what you call the Natural Mystic Orchestra, the key point of it? What does it do? The key point is really, it's a great way to enjoy yourself. Because we need a lot more joy in our lives, I think, and just forget about everything else. Come along. You don't even have to know the songs. It's really easy. You just come in, and as you listen to them, start to feel you can join in, just do so and forget about everything else, and all the other stuff happens, really. All the healing, the clearing, all the connection. It just happens from that, from just surrendering yourself really to the music and to the singing. As we go more deeply into it, all the sense of separation just sort of floats away, and we just kind of join together, and we become... It's really beautiful when it really happens, because it becomes more and more harmonious, and you can hear the beautiful harmonies from everybody as everybody relaxes into it more. It's a great sense of connection with it. It's brilliant.
Nigel, you are the founder of the Wicklow Dance in Ashford. Can you tell us how the Wicklow Dance started?
It started approximately 15 years ago, just as a result of me being asked to DJ at parties, really. I became aware that people I knew just didn't really have much of an opportunity to dance unless they wanted to go clubbing in Dublin. Generally, they didn't want to do that because there were a lot of things about it that they didn't enjoy. So I got the idea of just providing a space, which happened to be in Wicklow. I was living in Wicklow at the time, providing a space for people to dance. I also was buying a lot of dance music. I was kind of thinking I needed an outlet for it. I felt this was music that really needed to be played for wider consumption. As I got more and more into world music in many different cultures, I became more and more aware of the different rhythms involved in various countries and various cultures, how nearly all countries have a dance rhythm. I became aware of the richness and diversity of that, And that was an extra motivation to get this music out there and provide it for people to dance to. It started to take shape. I was doing the dance club, I suppose, every month or every 2 months over a period of years, and started to develop a bit of a community around it. People would say, see you at the next dance, and there started to be, it started to build a community, I suppose, of people who wanted to come and dance, and generally didn't have anywhere else that they went and danced. So really it became a world music dance event with a community aspect.
So what would be the main difference between the clubbing scene and the Wicklow Dance Club?
The clubbing scene, in my experience, is based around drink and mainly young people. Generally, I'm not averse to people coming and having a drink or two, to get them in the mood to dance. That's part of normal social life as far as I'm concerned. I have no problem with that. But I didn't want it to become a drink-fueled situation, which it hasn't become. And I didn't want to have a sort of situation where you have, heavyweight bouncers on the door and that sort of thing. It doesn't create a particularly nice atmosphere. It's easier to do that when you're out of the city, obviously. And we've been doing this in Wicklow for many years. So that it becomes, a friendly event, a friendly community event where people feel welcomed into it. That's one thing. Musically, my experience also with clubbing is that the music tends to be fairly uniform in clubs. It might be reggae, it might be sort of electronic music of various sorts, but that they play the same sort of music for long periods of time. In the Wicklow Dance Club, the rhythms are extraordinarily diverse. So you can have sort of very lively African music, you can have Afrobeat, which is like sort of real funky stuff. You can have Latin music, Brazilian music, Bhangra, Asian music. There's just an extraordinary number of rhythms, and we play them all. You can't get bored with world music. The idea of having lots of different rhythms, that's what I like to do, to really change it around and give people the chance to try out all sorts of different music and different rhythms.
Do you find that each country has a different type of music and that this music affects different part of the body?
I've discovered over the period of time different rhythms, different types of music, different genres of music have a different effect on the body. Literally, some music is waving your arms in the air type of music, and some is right down in the hips, and some is sort of more the upper body sort of swaying and so on. And all the different genres and different types of music that I include, they really give the body a good workout and in a very sort of comprehensive way that you can literally use different parts of the body for different types of music. That's a holistic approach to dance. The clubbing scene is often has a sort of pick-up joint aspect about it. People can be a little bit inhibited in terms of self-expression because of that. Whereas at the dance club, people are not inhibited, and there's a good bit of space. You're not all like sardines, and so people do feel free to, in quite an unself-conscious way, to experiment in self-expression with the music, which we encourage. That's, I think, very positive for people, that they feel a freedom in that respect.
David, you are the founder and innovator of the Funky Shomra, which is a monthly event in Dublin, alcohol-free and drug-free nightclub. Can you tell us a little bit more about the Funky Shomra, where it comes from and what the purpose of it is?
The Funky Shomra is, for those of you who don't know, Shomra is the Irish word for room, and basically it represents a kind of a community space, a social space where people can come together and enjoy a Saturday night out where there's not a lot of alcohol and drugs in the atmosphere and the environment and being sold there, basically. It's to offer something different and that hasn't really been offered in Dublin, which, judging from the people that go to the Funky Shomra and from feedback, is very much needed in Dublin and very much needed in Ireland due to our relationship with drugs and alcohol. But it is a social event. It's a place for people to come and be themselves. You don't have to take on any kind of persona. You don't have to be anything that you're not. It's very much that you can go there, you can dance exactly how you like to dance and just have a really good time. And because I think there's been a separation between not drinking, not taking drugs and socialising. and then actually that being as good as, well, I'd say better than a night out in your stereotypical nightclub in Dublin. The atmosphere tends to be very good to a point where the alcohol seems to take over or the drugs take over, and then you're in a different environment, particularly if you don't drink or if you don't take drugs. Then there can be a very definite shift in the energy in this space. I think it's been kind of unfair that hasn't been available for people to have a viable alternative. A really, really good social scene at the weekends. It's taken a long time for it to come about, and hopefully this will be the start of something different in Dublin.
And it's very encouraging to see that there is a big response to it, because it was in a way taking a risk to start an event like that on a Saturday night and to see whether people would turn up or not.
Since the beginning, September 2008, until now, there's been an increase in the amount of people going, and I think it's really word of mouth. People telling their friends about it and then coming back again. So, I mean, you get about 350, 400 people now at the events, and it's just very, very encouraging to see that people are open to it and people are coming back to it.
So what type of people attend the Funky Seomra?
It's really a cross-section of people living in Dublin, and actually further afield. People come up from Galway and Cork and different counties to come to it and then actually head home that night or the next day. You get people from all walks of life: bankers, people who work in shops, people who teach meditation, teach dance. So it's actually a great space for that, to meet people from different walks of life.
And what about the age group?
It's 18s, it's over 18s, and it's right up to people in their 60s coming to it, and which is something I absolutely love, that there's people socialising and interacting and weaving a community where people of all ages are mixing and socialising.
Would you say that your work could be also of great help for people who are trying to quit alcohol and drugs, or who have just quit it?
And that would be one of the areas that I'd really see as a potentially developing point. I mean, I've already started to work in collaboration with the Canal Communities Drug-Free Integration Programme and the Rialto Drug-Free Integration Programme, in setting up events in the local communities for the service users and also for the local community and for people coming from the outside. So the attention isn't on, okay, we're creating an event for people who are coming off drugs and alcohol. It's for the whole community. There's a sense of togetherness in it. I'd certainly see that potential for working with other organisations in a similar field to continue to develop that work and offer something, as you said, for people who are coming off alcohol and drugs who may find it difficult. I mean, I myself gradually stopped drinking in my early 20s, and I found the exact thing that you're talking about the lack of choices and a sense of isolation in terms of socialising at the weekend.
Tell us about the social aspect of Biodanza.
Well, socially, the thing about Biodanza is that we don't talk. What we do is we try to get out of our head and more into our bodies. For the hour-and-a-half class, we're working on a non-verbal communication. And you think of it, Marie-Angeline, 80% of our communication is actually non-verbal, which is much more profound. And a lot of us don't actually realise that, where so much can be lost in just words. And yet I know words mean a lot and can bring across a lot. But in Biodanza, we don't work with words. So through the different exercises in the dance, we're working with the communication of the body. So that's working with our boundaries as well, working with what feels safe for us. Some of the exercises can be intimate, and it's around, well, how do I feel in this, or how much do I want to get close to this person? And it's always about working with your own feedback within yourself as well. And, we start to begin to form an effective link with the group. So it helps us to dissolve our own masks of defensiveness that we've had to carry around. And it brings in much more sense of acceptance, because we work with a lot of eye contact. And when you think of, the eyes are the windows to the soul. And through the beautiful music and eye contact, we're completely at a different level connecting that no words could ever bring. And that's hard to explain. And it's really about experiencing it, and I think, that's what brings us into the here and now and into the moment. That's the beauty of Biodanza, that we're in the absolute presence of each other. And it's about celebrating that presence, that we're not off thinking about someone else, or we're not on our mobile phones. You know, it's really about coming into the moment. And when we bring our presence to each other, we bring that sense of belonging, which we all need.